I killed the man who stole my life, not with a bullet, but by handing him the rope he begged to climb. For 10 years, I'd worn his skin like a curse, building an empire from the ashes of our betrayal while he paraded around in mine, pretending to be the hero of a story he wrote in blood and lies. And when he showed up at my door, cap in hand, applying for a job like some washed-up intern, I didn't slam it in his face. I pulled it wider, inviting the wolves right into the fold. That first hook line? It wasn't hyperbole. Victor Hale didn't just betray me, he erased me. One spiked drink at our company's 10th anniversary gala in San Francisco, and I woke up choking on a throat that wasn't mine, staring at hands calloused from gym weights instead of the manicured fingers I'd filed my nails down to the quick during late-night coding sessions. Brooklyn Reyes, the wunderkind co-founder of Neuralink Dynamics, was gone. In her place, Victor Hale, the charming VP who'd always lurked in my shadow, now blinking back at me from the mirror with my own wide brown eyes and curtain of dark hair. The swap wasn't magic, it was our dirty little secret. Neuralink had been chasing neural interfaces for years, brain-computer links that could revolutionize everything from prosthetics to virtual reality. But Victor? He'd pushed the envelope too far, tinkering in the black-budget lab with a prototype serum meant to sync minds temporarily for data transfer. Imagine it, Brooke. He'd whispered one night over takeout pho in our cramped Mountain View office, his breath hot against my ear. We could walk in each other's shoes. Understand the competition from the inside out. I'd laughed it off, called it sci-fi bullshit. But he'd dosed me anyway, right there amid the champagne flutes and venture capitalist schmoozes, his hand steady on my glass like a lover's caress. By morning, the world had flipped. I, trapped in Victor's lanky, 6'2" frame, his square jaw and perpetual 5 o'clock shadow, stumbled into the bathroom of his No Valley apartment, retching as the serum's afterburn clawed through my synapses. My real body, my curves and my voice that could command a room with a single raised eyebrow, was across the bay in my own Pacific Heights condo, getting dressed for the board meeting I'd called. Victor, in my skin, shot me that trademark grin through the fogged mirror of a video call he'd initiated to check in. Rough night, Vic? You look like hell. Better pull it together. Big day ahead. Big day, my ass. By noon, Victor Hale was in handcuffs, accused of siphoning $2.3 million from Neuralink's R&D slush fund to fund a rival startup. Emails I'd never sent, wire transfers in his name, even a forged confession video deep-faked with my face, but his smug inflection. The board, those gray-haired suits who'd fawned over me for years, turned on a dime. We trusted you, Hale. The chairman spat during the interrogation, his face pixelated on the precinct's ancient monitor. Victor, playing me to perfection, delivered the kill shot in a press conference that afternoon. Tear-streaked cheeks, voice cracking just right. I had no idea. Brooklyn. God, I thought she was my friend. This destroys me. The trial was a circus. Tabloids screamed, tech titans double-cross. Co-founders' greed exposed. I sat in that San Francisco courtroom, sweating through Victor's ill-fitting suits, my lawyer, a public defender who smelled like stale coffee, mumbling about inconsistencies no one cared to hear. The evidence was ironclad, or so it seemed. Deepfakes had come a long way since 2018 scandals. Juries ate them up now, especially when the victim was a strong female leader, like the new Brooklyn Reyes, who'd graciously stepped up to save the company amid the chaos. I got 8 years in San Quentin. Victor got my life. The C-suite, the TED Talks, the Forbes 30 Under 30 Redux. He married my fiancé, Ethan, in a quiet ceremony at Big Sur. Yeah, that stung, scrolling grainy inmate tablet feeds of the wedding photos. Ethan, with his easy smile and architect's hands, had bought the lie hook, line, and sinker. She says you're dangerous, Vic. He texted me once, before the prison blocked personal numbers. Stay away when you get out. Parole came after 6, for good behavior. I emerged into the blinding Central Valley sun on a Tuesday in July 2023, 5'11" of borrowed bone and muscle, with a new name, Brock Harlan, courtesy of a shady ID forger in Oakland who'd taken my commissary cash, and a fire in my gut that no amount of therapy could douse.
Victor thought he'd buried me.
He had no idea I'd been digging my own tunnel the whole time. Prison's a masterclass in reinvention, if you let it. I'd always been the idea girl, the one who dreamed up Neuralink's core algorithm while Victor handled the people skills. Locked up, I traded cigarettes for books smuggled from the library cart. Sun Tzu, Machiavelli, every startup memoir from Airbnb to Uber. By lights out, I'd sketch business plans on toilet paper with a contraband nub of pencil, dreaming of an empire that didn't need a face, because mine was still out there, wearing someone else's soul. First stop, a dingy motel off Highway 101, where I pawned Victor's old Rolex for seed money. Then, a burner laptop from a Best Buy in Fresno, coding late into the night on free Wi-Fi from a Starbucks that didn't ask questions. I started small, an AI consultancy gig on Upwork, ghostwriting white papers for VCs too lazy to do their homework. Brock Harlan had a knack for predictive analytics, I discovered. Ironic, since I'd spent years predicting Victor's moves only to miss the biggest one. By 2024, I had my first client, a mid-tier fintech in Austin. They paid six figures for an algorithm that cut fraud losses by 40%. Word spread. I incorporated Harlan Dynamics as a remote outfit. No office, no photos, just results. We specialized in neural net security, firewalls that learned like humans, adapting to threats in real time. Poetic justice, building walls around data, while Victor's Neuralink hemorrhaged talent and market share. From anonymous Reddit boards, I watched him flail. Botched product launches, lawsuits from jilted investors, whispers of Brooklyn's losing her edge. I kept it secret, a ghost in the machine. No LinkedIn profile, no conference keynotes. My team was a skeleton crew of freelancers, coders in Bangalore, ethicists in Berlin, who knew me only as a voice on Zoom with the camera off. By 2025, Harlan Dynamics was valued at $500 million, our HQ a gleaming tower in Seattle's South Lake Union, poaching execs from the very firms Victor had once wooed. I'd visit incognito, blending into the throng of tech bros in hoodies, my borrowed height a perfect camouflage. But secrets have a half-life. It started with an email from HR in late November. We've received applications from several high-profile candidates. Resumes attached for review. I opened the file on my private jet en route from a pitch in New York, the Rocky Mountains scrolling below like veins of forgotten ore. There, staring back at me, was my face, Victor's grin pasted onto it. Under Brooklyn Reyes, former CEO, Neuralink Dynamics. Reference: Ethan Hale Reyes, my ex, now Victor's husband. And beside it, a stack from his inner circle. The CFO who'd signed off on the frame job, the PR shark who'd spun the narrative, even the lab tech who'd mixed the serum. Desperate times, I guess. Neuralink was circling the drain. Stock price tanking after a data breach exposed their innovative neural tech as a half-baked knockoff.
They needed a lifeline.
My lifeline. I could have deleted the applications, blacklisted them, watched them starve. But revenge isn't deletion, it's installation. I greenlit everyone with a personal note to HR. Bring them in for interviews. I want to meet the team myself. The first interview was Ethan's, slotted for a foggy Monday in December. Seattle's drizzle sheeted the windows of my corner office, the Space Needle a smudged ghost in the distance. I'd had the space designed minimalist. Steel and glass, no personal touches, just a massive oak desk that swallowed the room like a judgment. I sat behind it, legs crossed in bespoke slacks that hid the faint scars from a prison yard brawl, my hair cropped short and salt and pepper to age out Victor's boyish charm. Ethan knocked precisely at 10:55, ever the punctual one. When he entered, the air thickened, like stepping into a memory you thought you'd burned. He looked good, still, lean from weekend hikes, that architect's poise in his shoulders. But the eyes, my eyes, Victor's soul behind them, darted nervous, clutching a leather portfolio like a shield. Mr. Harlan? He extended a hand, wedding band glinting.
Ethan Reyes Hale.
Thanks for seeing me on short notice. I shook it, feeling the familiar calluses from drafting blueprints. Call me Brock. Have a seat. My voice was Victor's baritone, gravelly from years of shouting over cell block noise, but I'd practiced in mirrors to strip it of his nasally whine. Tell me about yourself. He launched into the spiel, sustainable design lead at a boutique firm, but downsized after the recession bit. Lies, of course. Neuralink's collapse had rippled out, drying up contracts. But he sold it well, that earnest charm I'd fallen for over craft IPAs and Soma bars. I'm looking for a fresh start, he said, leaning forward. Harlan Dynamics, your work in adaptive AI? It's revolutionary. Feels like the future. I nodded, tapping a pen, Victor's old Montblanc, swiped from evidence lockup during the trial. The future's always been about adaptation. Surviving what others can't. Paused, let it hang. You were married to Brooklyn Reyes, weren't you? Neuralink. Tough break. What happened there? His smile faltered. A crack in the facade.
Yeah.
Ancient history.
We
Grew apart. She's doing her own thing now. Really? I leaned back, steepling fingers. Last I heard, she was shopping her resume around. Desperate times. Ethan shifted, portfolio creaking. Brooklyn's resilient. Always has been. A beat, then softer. You know her work? Intimately. The word landed like a hook. His eyes narrowed, searching my face, Victor's face, for recognition. None came. But loyalty's key here at Harlan. We don't hire drifters. What would you do if an old flame showed up, trying to sabotage the shop? He laughed, forced. Fire am on the spot.
Smart man.
I stood, extending my hand again. We'll be in touch. He left confused, but I saw the hook set. Doubt, the first worm in the apple. By week's end, the others filed in like lambs to slaughter. The CFO, Marla Voss, sharp as a stiletto, the one who'd rubber-stamped the transfers, batted lashes at me over her latte, pitching her turnaround expertise, while I mentally cataloged the Cayman accounts she'd funneled cash to. Hired. The PR guy, Trent Callio, all teeth and spray tan, spun yarns about crisis comms that made me want to retch. He was the voice behind those viral threads painting me as the villain, tech trader trending for months. Hired. And the lab tech, quiet little Ravi Patel, who wouldn't meet my eyes, guilt, maybe, or just the weight of complicity. He'd handed Victor the vial that night, thinking it was just a demo. Hired. Victor, Brooklyn, came last, a Friday afternoon slot I'd saved like a guillotine's drop. The office hummed below, oblivious to the storm brewing 30 floors up. She'd arrived in a pantsuit that screamed, power move, my old favorite, navy wool from Barney's, tailored to her broader shoulders now. Hair in a sleek bob, makeup flawless, but the eyes. Those were Victor's, hungry and cornered. Ms. Reyes, I said, rising to greet her. No handshake. I gestured to the chair opposite. Impressive resume. Neuralink's loss is potentially our gain. She sat, crossing legs with practiced grace, mine once. Thank you, Mr. Harlan. Brock, right? I've followed your trajectory. From nowhere to this. A sweep of the hand, encompassing the empire. Inspirational. Flattery, the oldest play. I smiled, thin as a razor. Flattery's cheap. Results aren't. Why Harlan? Why now? Her gaze flicked to the window. Puget Sound churning gray. Neuralink hit a wall. Market saturation. Bad press. I need a platform to rebuild. Your adaptive neural tech, it's echoing some old work of mine. Synaptic mapping, early prototypes. Old work.
Ours.
Rage flickered, hot and familiar, but I banked it. Echoes, huh?
Sounds familiar.
Tell me, Ms. Reyes, ever had a partner stab you in the back? Take credit for your breakthroughs? She stiffened just a fraction. Once or twice. Victor Hale, that embezzler? He nearly tanked us. I had to pick up the pieces. I leaned forward, elbows on desk, invading her space. Pieces. Like lives? Or just stock options? A pause, his, mind whirring. What are you implying? Nothing. I waved it off, casual. Just betting. We do deep background here. No skeletons in the closet. None that matter. Lies smooth as silk. We bantered for an hour, tech trends, AI ethics, the hypocrisy of big tech's greenwashing. She was good, damn good, channeling my old fire. But I saw the tells, the way she toyed with her ring, Ethan's now, the micro-twitch when I mentioned neural reversibility.
Hired.
Start date, January 6th, 2026. A Christmas came and went, a blur of forced cheer at the company holiday party. I watched from the shadows as my new recruits mingled, Ethan charming the devs, Marla schmoozing investors, Trent live-tweeting the eggnog. Victor, Brooklyn, held court by the tree, laughing too loud, her arm looped through Ethan's like a claim. Our eyes met across the room, a spark of something, curiosity, suspicion, but she looked away first. The new year dawned crisp, Seattle's evergreen spires dusted in rare snow. Harlan Dynamics thrummed, our latest product, Sentinel, an AI sentinel for corporate espionage, poised for a $200 million Series C. I'd scheduled the team-building off-site for Whidbey Island, a remote lodge on the Sound, under the guise of strategic brainstorming. Real agenda, dissection. The ferry ride was tense, waves slapping the hull like accusations. I drove the van from the dock, Victor's shotgun, the others crammed in back with coolers of craft beer and laptops. Small talk flowed, traffic, Seahawks odds, but undercurrents pulled, Trent cracking jokes about old flames, Marla eyeing me in the rear view like fresh meat. The lodge was isolation perfected. Cedar beams, stone fireplace, no cell service unless you hiked to the bluff. We settled in, fire crackling as I poured whiskeys, top shelf, neat. To new beginnings, I toasted, clinking glasses. Their eyes on me, expectant. We started with icebreakers, my design. Share a secret that's shaped you. Ethan went first, mumbling about a lost investment in Neuralink. Marla confessed to bending rules for the greater good. Trent? I once buried a story that could have sunk a client. Ravi silent, staring at his hands. Victor's turn. She swirled her glass, ice clinking. I trusted the wrong person. Let them into my inner circle, and they changed everything. Stole my voice, my future. A glance my way, probing. I nodded, slow. Sounds personal. What did you do about it? Fought back. Her smile, sharp, reclaimed what was mine. The room stilled. Fire popped. Then, casual as a weather report, I said, like swapping lives? Wearing someone else's skin to dodge the consequences. Glasses froze midair. Ethan's jaw slackened. Marla's eyes widened. Victor, Brooklyn set her drink down, deliberate. What did you say? You heard me. I stood, unbuttoning my shirt cuff, revealing the faint injection scar from that gala night, faded but unmistakable. Neuralink's prototype wasn't a failure, Victor. It worked a little too well. Chaos erupted. Trent lunged for his phone, no signal. Marla hissed accusations. Ethan backed away, face ashen. Brock, what the hell? But Victor rose, slow, his face a mass cracking. Impossible.
You're dead.
I watched you rot.
No.
I stepped closer, voice low. You watched a shell. I survived. Adapted. Built this. Gesture to the lodge, the empire beyond. And now, you're all here in my house, begging for scraps. The bluff waited outside, wind howling. I'd prepared. Zip ties in the woodshed, a fresh vial of serum in my pocket, re-engineered during those prison nights, reversible this time. Revenge wasn't killing, it was reflection, making them see themselves, truly, for the monsters they'd let loose. Ethan bolted first, toward the door. I let him. Tracked his footsteps in the snow, a rabbit in the snare. Marla screamed, clawing for the kitchen knives. Trent babbled denials. It was all Victor's idea. Ravi curled fetal, whispering apologies. Victor faced me, alone in the firelight. Brooklyn. My name, on his lips and my voice, a violation. This is insane. We can talk. Talk. Laughter. Bitter. You talk me into prison. Talked Ethan into your bed. Talked the world into forgetting me. I pulled the vial, serum glinting amber. Your move, partner. Swap back. Or watch me give them all a taste. His eyes, my eyes, flicked to the door, calculating. Then, a sigh, defeated. You win. Always did. But as he reached for the vial, the twist hit like a rogue wave. The door burst open, not Ethan, but cops. Flashing lights pierced the dusk, badges glinting. Harlan. Hands up. Betrayal. Round 2. Victor's lips curled, triumphant. You think I came blind? I dug, Brooke. Found your forger, your aliases. Tipped the feds this morning, anonymous, of course. Corporate espionage? With Neuralink tech? They're calling it identity theft on steroids. The room spun. Ravi, the quiet one, he'd been my plant? No, worse. Ethan, pale in the doorway, phone in hand. I'm sorry, he whispered. You told me everything last night. Said you'd gone dark, dangerous. I had to stop it. Her.
Me.
Victor, weaving lies again, turning my husband against the ghost I'd become. Cuffs bit cold as they dragged me down. Victor watched in my skin, mouthing, checkmate. But in the squad car, rattling towards Seattle PD, I smiled into the rain-streaked window. The vial was gone, palmed into Ethan's pocket during the scuffle, serum already seeping through the thin glass I'd rigged to crack on impact. By dawn, when they tested him for prints, it'd be in his veins. Slow-acting, disorienting. Hallucinations first, then dissociation. Enough to make him question whose life he'd really been living. And Victor? She'd get the promotion. VP of Security at Harlan, overseeing the empire I'd built. Irony at its finest. She'd wear my success like a crown, but every mirror would whisper doubt. Was that Brooklyn staring back, or the imposter she'd always been? As for me, feds could have brought Harlan. I'd swap identities again, vanish into the ether, seed a new fire from these ashes. Revenge isn't a climax, it's a cycle. And this empire? It was never about the throne. It was about watching them chase shadows forever. The trial loomed, federal charges, fraud, unauthorized neural experimentation, conspiracy. My lawyer this time? A shark from Silicon Valley's underbelly, paid in Bitcoin from offshore accounts I'd funneled during the off-site chaos. Plausible deniability, she murmured over encrypted calls, her office a nondescript bungalow in Capitol Hill. We paint you as the victim. Victor Hale's revenge porn from the grave. Victim. The word tasted like ash. I'd spent a decade owning the villain role, sharpening it into a blade. Now in holding federal, not state, all-polished concrete and fluorescent hum, I paced my cell, mapping appeals, contingencies. The serum's half-life was 72 hours. Ethan was home by now, sweating through nightmares, questioning every touch, every vow. Reports trickled in via contraband news feeds. Harlan exec hospitalized, delirium from unknown toxin. Good. Let it fester. Victor thrived, of course. Press releases hailed Brooklyn Reyes as the steady hand guiding Harlan through the storm. Stock dipped 12%, then rebounded on sympathy buys. She keynote at CES, my old poise in her step, pitching Sentinel as the ethical future of AI. Ethical. The gall. Marla and Trent scattered, resigned, amid scrutiny. Their NDAs ironclad but whispers lethal. Ravi. He confessed, tearful plea deal painting me as the puppet master. 10 months community service, immunity for testimony. I watched his Zoom deposition on a smuggled tablet, his eyes hollow. She knew things only Brooklyn could. But it was him. All along. The twist inverted again during discovery. My lawyer unearthed the original serum logs, Ravi's backups, stashed on a forgotten AWS server. Not just proof of the swap, but motive reversed. Victor hadn't acted alone. I'd greenlit the black budget tinkering, late nights blurring into blurred ethics. For the company, the emails read, my digital signature bold. And deeper, a side project, my brainchild, a permanent swap for executive burnout. Victor had stolen it, yes, but I'd planted the seed. Co-conspirator?
or architect.
The DA offered a deal. 5 years, reduced to probation if I testified against Reyes. Flip on myself. Controversial? Hell, it trended body swap scandal, ethicists decrying the commodification of self, while tabloids drooled over who wore Brooklyn best. I took the stand in April, Seattle federal courthouse packed with reporters, Victor in the gallery, her face a study in feigned shock. I was Brooklyn Reyes, I said, voice steady. Victor's timbre now my own. Co-founder, innovator. Victor Hale dosed me, stole my body, framed me for his crimes.
But I
enabled it. Pushed the boundaries too far. Ambition's a hell of a drug. Gasps rippled. Victor's eyes narrowed. Trap sprung? The jury hung on cross-exam, the prosecutor hammering. You built Harlan on stolen tech. Lied for a decade. That's not victim. That's vigilante. Vigilante. I echoed, leaning into the mic, call it justice. He took my life, I took it back. Question is, was it ever really mine to reclaim? Deliberations stretched 3 days. Ethan visited once, gaunt, serum's echo in his tremors. I loved you, he said through plexiglass. Both of you? God, I don't know anymore. Divorce papers came the next week, no fault. My empire's assets frozen pending appeal. Verdict, guilty on lesser counts, wire fraud, identity assumption. Sentence, 2 years suspended, 5 years supervised release, $10 million restitution to Neuralink. Victors.
Poetic.
I walked free into a changed world. Harlan Dynamics? Sold off in pieces, the Seattle Tower a ghost to new owners. Victor kept a chunk, consulting for the buyers, her net worth ballooning to 9 figures. We crossed paths once, at a neutral ground coffee in Belltown. Arbitration terms. She looked older, lines etching my old laugh lines into worry. Truce, she offered, stirring sugar into black. No such thing.
I sitt mine, bitter.
But I'll let you keep the body. It never fit you right anyway. She laughed hollow. And you? What's next, Brooklyn and Vic? Rebuild. Simple. I'd already started. A quiet LLC in Austin, AI for mental health, neural therapy, undoing swaps of the soul, if not the flesh. No empire this time. Just purpose. Ending? Debatable. Victor sleeps with my successes haunting her dreams. Ethan adrift in therapy. The world arguing if I was monster or martyr.
Me?
I wake each morning in this borrowed shell, grateful for the fight. Revenge gave me back my fire, not the old one, but something fiercer. And in America's endless grind, that's as happy as it gets. Or is it tragedy? The woman who won everything and lost herself. You decide.